Good evening, everyone. Welcome to a late night stream of Right Side Broadcasting Network. I'm Alyssa Ashe, and this is actually a very exciting time. This is my first broadcast from my studio, so I'm so excited to bring it to you guys. And sorry if you see a little bit of green screen or discoloration around me or the mic. We are still working out some of the visuals, and so it should be fixed by the end of next week. So just bear with us and stay tuned. But tonight I'm really excited to bring you a little recap of President Trump's trip to the UK so far. And I am actually going to start with a video where you can see him actually arriving in Blenheim Palace. And let me get that ready for you guys. And this is from BBC News. So thank you, BBC, for this video. And I'm going to switch it over and show it to you guys. Hey guys, sorry about that. We didn't have audio there for a second, working out some technical difficulties, but we got it back. So I'm going to back it up and show you his entrance once again. Stay tuned. And I know I'm sorry it is not full screen because then I can't show you the entire thing in the screen capture. So I apologize for that. Okay, so I fast forwarded there a little bit through the end because I wanted you to see President Trump holding Prime Minister Theresa May's hand, which was very interesting. Surprising he did that. They were super warm and just really excited to see each other. But I will show you a picture of that soon. First, I'm going to tell you some information. And even before that, we already had 2 donations. So I wanted to give some shout outs. Thank you so much, guys. Let me scroll up. $14.99 from Barnburger 9811. Thank you very much for that. And $1.99 from Sofa Kingdom, who says, I love Right Side. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate both of you and your donations. And for those of you that are new to Right Side, welcome. We're so glad to have you here. And I will tell you guys how to donate soon, but not quite yet. And remember, I am always looking at the chat. So if you have any questions, please feel free to say them. And you can also message me on Twitter, and I'll show you my Twitter account as well. It's right here. Alyssa Ashe at Alyssa RSBN is my Twitter. So if you would like to direct message me on Twitter, I would love to hear from you and just interact with you guys. That is what makes this job so much fun. So first, I'm going to tell you a little bit of information about his visit to the UK. So they had a very nice dinner, and then he had what some are calling a bombshell interview as well. So around the time that they were having the sit-down fancy black tie dinner at Oxfordshire Palace, word spread that President Trump had actually given a critical interview of the dinner's host, and kind of just some highlights as well. He was just fresh from breaking eggs in Brussels, and he was back in full form in Britain, and he was telling a newspaper that Prime Minister May was mishandling the Brexit talks. And oh wow, thank you so much. We just got another $19.99 donation from Jesus is Lord 5454, who says, you're back. Yes, thank you so much for that. Really appreciate you. And that's your second donation of the night. I know you you were tuned in watching earlier, so thank you so much for that. Really appreciate you. You've been a fantastic viewer and donator just watching since the beginning, and I really appreciate you and all of your support. So kind of shortly after the president arrived at the ambassador's residence, and again outside the dinner, there were protesters that were making their voices heard. And earlier in the day, the president and NATO allies had actually agreed. They had agreed to his demand for a significant increase in military spending, but other leaders offered differing accounts. But President Trump said that he remained committed to the alliance. So near the end, and I kind of told you guys, of the gala dinner, Mrs. May was hosting for President Trump on Thursday night tonight. Word emerged that he had given this newspaper interview in which he criticized her handling of the Brexit negotiations and appeared to boost the fortunes of the political rival. And he described her approach as very unfortunate, and then he was also showing support for Boris Johnson, the ambitious British politician who actually just quit as foreign minister in an open break with May. So the interview that President Trump had definitely will give him and Prime Minister Theresa May something to talk about on Friday. But before I tell you guys more information about that, I want to show you some pictures as well. I have some fantastic pictures of their day in England from The Guardian. So I'm going to switch back over to this screen real quick. And let me go to the very top. So you can see when President Trump and First Lady Melania Trump arrive off of Air Force One. And then the protesters in the streets that were ready for them outside the grounds of Blenheim Palace. But this is the picture that I was telling you about, which was just pretty heartwarming, kind of strange, surprising, different to see. But President Trump holding Prime Minister Theresa May's hand, walking up the steps. She had a red carpet out for them. And I see you, British patriot, saying, can we keep President Trump? No, I'm sorry, we need him here. But you can see them laughing, and she looks beautiful in a red dress. And then all of the guards outside of Blenheim Palace. And then the four of them standing together. Melania looked very beautiful in her yellow dress. And Angela Ray said, check out the tweet I just shared. Angela, what is your Twitter account? And I will check that out. Also, we just got a $4.99 donation from Barn Burger. Again, 9811. Thank you so much for that. So you can see them just getting out of the limo. And then members of the government and guests were awaiting the arrival of President Trump, who is having dinner with Theresa May at Blenheim Palace. And now this is when they are on their way. President Trump and First Lady Melania they're leaving Winfield House, and they're boarding a helicopter for Blenheim Palace. And then some more protesters, armed police at Stansted Airport to make sure that he arrived okay. And then, of course, the U.S. Secret Service was with him as well. And then you can see when Air Force One was touching down at Stansted, they were exiting Air Force One, holding hands going down the stairs, which is good. They have been holding hands more recently in public appearances, which is very good. And British Patriot, I see your comment. I doubt they're having dinner. It's 5 a.m. Well, of course, this was back a while when it was your dinner time. We are just a little late in this because we were broadcasting the Peter Strzok hearing all day long. And then you can see an Amnesty International banner on Vauxhall Bridge in London, unfortunately protesting the president. And they're traveling by helicopter. So kind of avoiding the protesters, which was definitely good. And then this metal wall was put around the residence they stayed in just for safety. And you can see Woody Johnson, the U.S. ambassador to the UK, is there at Winfield House to greet President Trump. And a Marine giving a thumbs up while landing an Osprey helicopter escorting Marine 1. And President and First Lady walking with U.S. Ambassador Woody Johnson outside the Winfield House. And then some more protesting signs. But actually, somewhere where they were celebrating and embracing President Trump. This is the Trump Arms Public House, normally named the Jameson, in West London, where publicans have actually embraced the Trump visit, changed its name, decorated with Trump memorabilia. And a little bit more protesters. So, switching back over here. Hey guys, just got a $3.99 donation from Debo. Thank you so much for that. We really appreciate you. And I will have this over here so I can see your comments. And if you have any questions, please say them. And let's see, looking through, going to keep telling you guys information about tonight. So the dinner itself was actually closed to the press, but shortly before 8 p.m. Oh, someone said Auburn skyline in the background. This is actually the London skyline we got for you guys tonight. So, oh wow, the British Patriot talking about the Trump house. He said, I would have gone to that pub, but entry was 32 quid. That is definitely expensive. So before they arrived, well, when they arrived, President and First Lady Trump were greeted by Prime Minister May and her husband, Philip. So they emerged from the palace, which was just this huge yellow tinged stone building. You saw pictures in, you saw it in the pictures I just showed you guys. It has ornate turrets and statues adorning the top, and they strode down red carpeted steps and across a large cobblestone plaza. So it definitely was a royal entrance. But as I just showed you guys from some of the protests outside the palace gates, the mood was a little less celebratory. There were hundreds of protesters holding signs protesting President Trump's visit, and many carried signs that actually said no racism, no to racism, no to Trump. But the demonstration was peaceful, and photos were posted on social media showing families with young children actually gathered on the streets of the Oxfordshire town. And this is all from a New York Times article, so thank you for that. And then protesters across from the ambassador's residence, where the Trumps were staying the night, unleashed a wall of sound, which was, of course, not quiet and peaceful. And it featured cries of children detained by U.S. immigration authorities, as well as a relentless stream of slogans, whistles, and banging pots and drums. So I'm sure that made their visit a little less pleasant. Also, we just received a $1.99 donation from Debo. Thank you again. You have been donating a lot tonight. So then the president the presidential helicopter descended on the grounds of the ambassador's residence in Regent Park, preparing to whisk President Trump and First Lady Melania away to the black tie dinner in the secluded palace outside the Capitol. And protesters, of course, raised a cry. And like I said before, and I have another article just about the wall, so I'll tell you more about that. But the British authorities had actually set up a metallic cage, just this wall around the ambassador's residence, as part of President Trump's security. And now activists did give a taste of the protest plan for Friday as well, though the crowd kind of thinned out after the president left for dinner at Blenheim Palace. And organizers said they hope to mount the biggest weekday demonstration in Britain since protests against the Iraq War more than a decade ago. And there is a quote here from Harley Day, a 23-year-old college student who joined in the protest after classes. She said he needs to be called out. His bigotry, his sexism, his Islamophobia, his general xenophobia, and crass inability to emphasize. And so those were some of the harsher things that happened today in Europe. So moving on, hoping to find kind of a more positive article to share with you guys. But really important, I'm also going to tell you about kind of some of the things that were discussed during that interview with a newspaper reporter where the president says that a soft Brexit would kill any future US-UK trade deal. So I'm going to tell you about that in just 1 second. So in this, what's being called a bombshell interview with the British newspaper The Sun, President Trump said that May has ignored his advice on how to conduct Brexit negotiations. And he said to The Sun, "I would have done it much differently. I actually told Theresa May how to do it, but she didn't agree. She didn't listen to me. I think what's going on is very unfortunate." And then he said that a soft Brexit that May has backed, in which the UK and the European Union would maintain some ties after the UK leaves, would definitely affect trade with the United States, unfortunately, in a negative way. And then he said, no, if they do what I say, that would probably end if they do that, okay. He said, no, if they do that, I would say that would probably end a major trade relationship with the United States. And, aside from the European Union, the U.S. is Britain's largest trade partner, with exports, worth 1 billion euros as of 2016. And this is according to the UK's Office for National Statistics, which is more than twice as many exports to any other single country. And we just got another donation, $3.99. Thank you so much, loyal viewer. And now, kind of going back to the article. Let me see. Going back to the article. So, and this is from Market Watch. Thank you so much for that. So, May is currently under fire from her own party as Brexit negotiations have not gone as planned, and the deadline to leave the European Union looms. Just last week, the minister in charge of Brexit negotiations, and let me make sure I wanted to make sure that that was actually this week, and this is dated today, so we're good. Anyways, so last week, the minister in charge of Brexit negotiations, David Davis, and Foreign Minister Boris Johnson both resigned over frustrations with the progress of the Brexit negotiations. And there is also speculation as well that May's Conservative Party may oust her as prime minister. And then, as I said before, President Trump, he continued stirring the pot kind of in the interview by saying that Boris Johnson would make a great prime minister. And, obviously it's not the best that he is criticizing her while visiting her country, but actually in a statement which was issued after the interview was published, White House Prime Minister Secretary Sarah Sanders said the president likes and respects Prime Minister May very much. As he said in an interview with The Sun, she is a very good person, and he never said anything bad about her. So I believe that he is kind of separating his opinion of her with his opinion of her policies and how she governs and just different things with Brexit. I believe he's kind of trying to separate these two. And, he is currently on his first presidential visit to the UK. And he was attending dinner with Theresa May and other dignitaries when the interview was published. So hopefully they saw it afterwards and got through dinner without any super awkward moments. And then in another interview, President Trump also kind of spoke a little more negatively on London Mayor Sadiq Khan for not being tougher on terrorism, and he accused the EU of destroying its culture by accepting so many immigrants. Said he feels unwelcome in London just because of these protesters. And of course, there was also this horrible, I showed you guys the other day, 20-foot tall baby Trump balloon going through the streets, which mocked the president. And President Trump said, I guess when they put out blimps to make me feel unwelcome, no reason for me to go to London. But, you know, of course, he still went to England, so that's good. And also, thank you so much, a $49.99 donation. Thank you so much, Roger. Really appreciate that. You have been donating a lot lately, encouraging me to go check my email, so I will do that right after this stream and get back to you. And let's see, I have some more information for you guys. Told you a little bit about this wall that they built outside the Winfield house where President Trump and Melania were staying for safety. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about that. So it was made from tall mesh metal barricades and concrete blocks to protect the president and the first lady. And a sign was actually attached to the fence that said, "No access, do not enter." A police security operation is taking place. This includes armed patrols, dog patrols, monitored CCTV, and other measures. Any contravention, it warns, could result in force being used against you, your arrest, and or prosecution. So this extra security measures might have kind of thrown off some Londoners. It was actually set amid the leafy surrounds of the Regent's Park, a spot with popular joggers and picnickers and families. And this is the only place where President Trump and Melania are going to spend time in central London, just because the demonstrators are expected to gather in tens of thousands for a march tomorrow afternoon, hours after the baby Trump balloon is flown near the UK Parliament. And this is an article from CNN World, so thank you for that. And, you know, when he was speaking in Brussels after he wrapped up the contentious NATO summit, President Trump shrugged off concentrations over demonstrations, saying he had great friendships in Britain, where his mother was actually born. And he said, yes, there might be protests, but I believe people in the UK, Scotland, Ireland, as you know, I have property in Ireland. I have property all over. I think that those people, they like me a lot and agree with me on immigration. And so, you know, many agree, many disagree, as usual. And Roger McKay, he told CNN, he says we like him here, but we don't. I haven't met anyone who likes him here. But that's definitely not true. I saw many of you commenting just yesterday when I was talking about his upcoming week, his Europe tour, that many people actually really do like him in the UK. And he's not avoiding anything. And this is from a quote from Woody Johnson, the U.S. ambassador to London. He insisted last week that President Trump's itinerary was not intentionally designed for him to avoid encountering throngs of protesters. He said the president is not avoiding anything. The president is merely trying to get as impactful a trip as he can in a 24-hour period. And he added that the president appreciates free speech and was very focused on the special relationship between the U.S. and the U.K. And that President Trump is on a working visit rather than a full state occasion. And if I didn't mention it before, where they had dinner tonight at Blenheim Palace is the birthplace of celebrated UK wartime leader Winston Churchill. So there's a fun fact for you. And we got a $20 donation from Natescape. Thank you so much for that. He says, thank you, Alyssa and RSBN for the broadcast. MAGA. Thank you very much for that. We really appreciate it. And also, this is kind of interesting. So, you know, I told you guys a little bit about this, that the president might not entirely be able to ignore the presence of protesters because some are planning to stage an all-night noise protest with pots and drums. And also the U.S. Embassy advised American citizens in London to keep a low profile during President Trump's visit, be aware of your surroundings, and exercise caution if unexpectedly in the vicinity of large gatherings that may become violent. So just the U.S. Embassy trying to keep U.S. citizens safe, of course. And let me see, just got a good question up here from Yin Yang. Did you see the wonderful ceremony with the colors of the golden and red dress? Love our president here in the USA. He is bringing the suffering middle class back to life. Yes, he definitely is. Thank you so much, Yin Yang. And just as I showed you guys earlier, it was really good to see the welcoming ceremony outside. It was very beautiful. You could hear the trumpets in the background. And Prime Minister Theresa May and FLOTUS Melania Trump both looked absolutely gorgeous. And let's see what else I have for you guys tonight. So when they actually first arrived, there were about 30 protesters that had gathered together, and they were hoping to create enough noise to keep President Trump awake at night, which is not good at all, of course. And we just got a $4.99 donation from Stephen John Asante. Thank you so much for that. And he is saying how he does not like YouTube and he was not notified of this video. Yes, Stephen, that does happen a lot. We are very sorry about that. It is definitely frustrating. And I wish it was something that we could control. And also a quote from Lucy Wheeler. She was one of the first protesters to arrive. And she said, where the other 4,999 people are, I'm not sure, but I'm here. She carried a sign that said, Trump not welcome. She's actually half American. And she said that she was protesting on behalf of her American family members who she said have their lives dismantled by his really degrading policies. And I'm also horrified at the way we seem to be blundering into a future where our British values don't count anymore, which is very interesting. And this is all from a Fox News article, one of my and your favorites. So even though it's, not the most positive news, of course. And so Lucy Wheeler also said immigration, which is a subject frequently cited by Trump supporters and also opponents in the UK as their reason for respective support or opposition, was one of her main issues. She also said he's a disgrace to the office, which is a dignified office of the American government. And she just kept saying he is a disgrace, which is very heartbreaking. But despite the scene in London and all of the protesters, plenty of UK residents actually welcomed the president, and they were dismayed at the demonstration. So that is so good to hear. And in the north of England, the anti-Trump sentiment was not nearly as pronounced. So back in London, it says Khadija and Nikita, who actually declined to give their last names, said that immigration was the main focus of their ire against Trump. They said, "I just don't understand his values. He's so backward." They were disappointed by the crowd size because they heard it was going to be about 5,000 people, but thankfully it wasn't. And then after a while, thankfully, some of the Trump supporters arrived, and they actually argued with the anti-Trump protesters. They said that they were, hoping to support him and just do their best to promote his values and not just have all this, hate when he was entering their country. And then, as I mentioned earlier, making sure this is the same person, yes, Crush Nishi told Fox News, "I'm sorry, but I'm so passionate. They won't stop me because they want to silence him. This is Britain, my friend. They have their opinions. I have mine. They hate him. I love him." And then James Jackson, who's actually only 18 years old, had traveled from Manchester to show his support for President Trump and was proudly wearing a Build the Wall t-shirt. And he was hoping to attend a pro-Trump rally that was going to be held outside the U.S. Embassy on Saturday. So that would be very good to see. And James Jackson said, "I like his style of governing. It's completely different from what we have here, where people don't know what they're doing. He's a very good leader, doesn't take any nonsense, and I agree with most of his policies." And Jackson also said that he was approved of Trump's hardline stance to Brexit, a fiery debate in the UK as Britain heads towards its exit from the EU in March next year. And, as I kind of mentioned earlier, May is actually fighting for her political life after the resignation of Foreign Secretary Boris Johnson and Brexit Secretary David Davis this week in protest of her latest Brexit plan, which critics say is too soft and will lead to Britain being a colony of the EU. Also, just received a $24.99 donation from Rick Moore. Thank you so much for that. He said, "I was not told this video was live. If I subscribe to a channel, I want to see all of their videos." Yes, we want you to too. And it's just something that YouTube does. Sometimes they just don't send out our notifications. We believe it is because we are more conservative and they are more liberal. So we apologize for that, but hope that you will be able to see all of them. Scottsdale, Arizona, will you be covering the meeting with the Queen tomorrow? If there is a feed that we are able to show you, yes, we definitely will be. And yes, it says that on Friday, as you just reminded me, Scottsdale, thank you so much, President Trump's agenda includes meeting with both the Queen and Prime Minister May as well. And soon after, he will hold a much anticipated joint press conference. And let me see what else I can share with you guys. Making sure that I don't have any messages from you guys on Twitter. And if you haven't followed me yet, please do, as I share breaking news updates and RSBN videos all the time. You can see here is my Twitter handle here. It's at Alyssa RSBN. Super simple, easy to remember. I was trying to find some information for you guys about the dinner conversations between the Mays and the Trumps, but I was unable to find that. So I apologize for that. Most of it is about the protests, which were very unfortunate, but it was really good to hear that the president was welcomed as well. Also, though, I can tell you guys a quick wrap up of some Nato information. One second, I just had that up. And a $4.99 donation from Jesus is Lord. Thank you so much. She said, please play Trump clip where he says UK likes me. I haven't seen that one yet, but if you do have a link for it, please comment it right here. Okay, I'll be getting that very soon. And I know some of you are commenting about the lighting. I'm sorry, we are still getting it figured out, and I do not have tan lines around my eyebrows. I know some of you were saying that it's just what the lighting looks like right now. Also, Catherine Exon keeps apologizing to me. You are totally fine, Catherine. I am just so glad that you are here watching tonight. Don't worry about anything. I am going to get that video for you in a minute. Okay, and this is from the Sun. So let me switch the screen and I will show you that clip. Thank you so much for mentioning it.
A lot about Brexit over the last couple of days, and it seems to be turning a little bit differently, where
Hey guys, sorry about that. I know you didn't have
A lot about
audio
Brexit over the last couple
there.
of days, and it seems to be turning a
And I
little bit
did see your
differently.
question, Catherine. I will go back up to that in a minute. But first, I'm going to show you this clip again because there was no audio for a minute. So I apologize for that. Hold on one second. Hey guys, sorry about
Brexit
that. I
is,
know
I've been
you
reading
didn't
a lot about
have
Brexit over the last
audio
there.
there.
A little bit differently.
And I did see your question, Catherine. I will go back up to that in a minute. But first, I'm going to show you this clip again because there was no audio
there. I'm going to
for a
Scotland
minute.
while I
So I
wait
apologize for that.
Turnberry
Hold on
in Scotland,
one
which
second.
is a magical place, one of my favorite places. I'm going there for 2 days.
Hey guys,
while I
sorry
wait for
about
Brexit
that. I
is,
know
I've been
you didn't have audio there. And I did see your question, Catherine. I will go back up to that.
I have great friendships over there. I'd like to see them be able to work it out so it could go quickly, whatever they work out. I believe that the people in the UK, Scotland, Ireland, as you know, I have property in Ireland. I have property all over. I think that those people, they like me a lot, and they agree with me on immigration. And I think that's why you have Brexit in the first place, because of immigration. Yes, ma'am.
Hey guys, sorry, there was some echo there. I had this YouTube screen up over here where I am monitoring your chat and the sound wasn't turned off, so I apologize for that. I am still learning, so bear with me. And I wanted to go back to your question, Catherine. She said, if you'll bother with my question, any news of the Queen forcing Duchess of Sussex to meet Trump? Not yet. I have heard that Meghan Markle does not have the most positive opinion of the president, but I hope that she will change it because, you know, she is, well, or was an American. Now she's transitioning to British royalty, but I really hope she will change her mind and be respectful and meet the president. That would be so wonderful. And let me see, I want to share with you guys some more information about his visit to the UK today, and then we will wrap it up soon. A $3.99 donation from Jesus is Lord. Thank you so very much. And going over, checking my Twitter and making sure that did not get any new messages from you guys. Okay, so here is what I was looking for that Catherine, I just saw your comment and we will be praying for you in that healing process. I'm so sorry to hear that. And anyways, the president says that he is committed to NATO, and he strongly recommitted American support for NATO, which has been just a bedrock of Western security policy for generations. And this is all from a New York Times article, so thank you for that. And he said the United States commitment to NATO is very strong, remains very strong. He said this at a news conference in Brussels. He said, "I believe in NATO." But although his public remarks were very friendly, the tone behind closed doors was much harsher. Officials actually from other countries, they voiced their fears that if he had not broken an alliance that was formed first in 1949 to contain the Soviet Union, he had thrown some sand in its gears. But President Trump insisted that despite his criticism of the alliance and some of its member countries, there was no animosity in private meetings with other leaders. And he said there's a great, very collegial spirit in that room. Very unified, very strong, no problem. And now, according to a person who was briefed on President Trump's meeting with other NATO leaders, President Trump said that if other countries, and you guys have heard this before, it's been in the news for the past 2 days, if other countries did not increase their military spending to 2% of their economic output by January, the United States would go it alone. So definitely hoping to see that increase so that we can remain in NATO. But what that would mean was not really clear to the officials who were present. The White House officials did not immediately respond to requests to explain President Trump's comment or say whether he was suggesting that the United States would withdraw from NATO or not. And the French president, Emmanuel Macron, dismissed such concerns as unfounding. He said, "Generally, I do not comment on what goes on behind the scenes, but at no moment did President Trump, neither bilaterally nor multilaterally, say that he was intending to leave NATO." And President Trump has not held a news conference on American soil for more than a year, but on Thursday, flanked by Secretary of State Mike Pompeo and John Bolton, his national security advisor, he took questions from reporters for over half an hour. And he actually dismissed any concern that his relationship with Russia was too cozy or that his relationship with his allies was too harsh. And I guess because, wow, I usually don't forget this. I'm usually a lot better about this. But I haven't told you guys who are new to RSBN or who may not have forgotten how you are able to donate and actually keep us on the air, alive and thriving. So one way you can actually click the $ right here in the super chat and type up a message with it, and I will read that to the whole world and say your name. We do get 70% of those funds, and the other 30% does stay with YouTube. And also you can donate directly on our website if you go to rsbnetwork.com/donate, or you can just hit the 4th tab on the top red bar, the donate button. You can donate there through PayPal, which we get to keep about 90% of. And you can also donate through Patreon, where you can actually become a monthly donor. You can become a patron, and there are different levels there and different prizes you can receive. Fun things like mugs and hats and t-shirts, pens and pencils and stickers, just so that you can be thinking about us throughout the day. That is another fantastic way to donate. And also, if you are uncomfortable donating online, we totally understand that. One of my personal favorite ways to receive donations is just checks and letters in the mail, because it is very heartwarming and encouraging to see all of that. And our fantastic moderators right here, DM, thank you so much, is commenting our address, which is 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344 in Auburn, Alabama 36830. And just write that out to RSBN, write the check out to RSBN. And that is how you can donate to us. And wow, we just got a $99.99 donation. Thank you so very much from Top Flight Security, who says, thank you for all your hard work today, Right Side. This is all I can give for the full month, but glad to see you on air again. Thank you so much, Top Flight. That is such a blessing to us, and we are not able to do that without you. So thank you so much. That has been the largest donation of the day so far. So thank you for that. And Nora Kun just said, oh, how do I send a letter? And JC, one of our fantastic moderators, commented right here that you just mail to our box with the address. So thank you so much for that. And I just want to take a moment to thank our fantastic moderators. You keep our broadcast clean and friendly and filter out the inappropriate stuff, and we are so thankful for you and all your hard work and commitment and how you are always here with us when we are on the air. Thank you so much, moderators. And now, kind of going back to the NATO discussion, a big question: did NATO agree to spending increases? And 2 European leaders actually said no, and I'm going to kind of get into that. So President Trump had actually said, he said that the NATO countries agreed to significant increases in military spending in response to his demand. But actually, within a few hours, Emmanuel Macron, the French president, and Giuseppe Conte, Italy's prime minister, said the allies had simply agreed to keep a 2014 commitment to increase military spending to 2% of GDP by 2024. And President Macron told reporters after the meeting in Brussels, a communique was issued yesterday. This communique is clear. It reaffirms the 2% by 2024 commitments. That's all. And then Mr. Conte of Italy said, Italy inherited spending commitments to NATO, commitments that we did not change, so no increase in spending. As far as we're concerned, today we did not decide to offer extra contributions with respect to what was decided some time ago. But Angela Merkel, as you know, is the German chancellor. She actually said that her country would consider more spending, but she said nothing about making any new commitments. And she undercut the notion that reconsideration of Germany's defense budget was due simply to American pressure. And she said, given the discussion of many European allies here, not just the American discussion, I think we have to ask again and again, what else can we possibly do? But President Trump has insisted that these NATO countries meet the 2% threshold right away, but that the long-term target is to be doubled to 4%. And the president said, the additional money that we're willing to put up has been really amazing. And he said this without addressing a timetable. And then he said, yesterday I let them know that I was extremely unhappy with what was happening, and they have substantially upped their commitment. And he, once again, called himself a very stable genius, and he took total credit for pursuing his allies to increase military spending. And then he also took credit for the other NATO countries having increased their military spending by $33 billion in the last year. And he said, I don't think that's helping Russia. I think NATO is much stronger than it was 2 days ago. So we are hoping that that will ring true. So don't forget, if you have any other questions, please comment them right here. I can see some of you right here in the YouTube chat. I can see some of you, Catherine Exon saying, how do I get a notification when you go live? And the British Patriot said it's not guaranteed though. Sometimes YouTube has a hissy fit, which is true. But to get them most of the time, you hit that little bell and you can also subscribe. And that is how you should get notifications most of the time. But we do apologize. It is very frustrating and unfortunate when you are not getting those notifications because, you know, we want you to see our videos and we can't expect you to click and check in with us all the time, although you totally should because it's definitely worth it. So also, the body language at the NATO meeting was very difficult. Kind of tight smiles were exchanged and icy glances. And I see your comment, Catherine, and do not worry if you can't donate. That is okay. We still want you to listen and to watch. Please do. So anyways, other NATO leaders, they mostly refrained from responding just to some of the criticism that was exchanged. But the body language at the summit meeting said plenty because it was not met with a message of warmth and harmony. And as the leaders walked to the site of the group photograph, many of them were chatting easily with one another, but President Trump actually hung back with the president of Turkey, Recep Tayyip Erdogan. And when they took their assigned spots, President Trump stood near the center. Unfortunately, some of his counterparts ignored him, but some embraced him as well. And then after, hours after President Trump had, said some remarks about Germany, he met with Chancellor Angela Merkel, and the two of them briefed reporters on their conversation. The president smiled and spoke of a very, very good relationship, but the chancellor did not. And then we are looking forward to Monday when President Trump meets with President Putin. We are hoping that this is a very positive discussion that can just lead to more bridges to be built between the United States and Russia. So please stay tuned for that. It is going to be very exciting. I'm going to check my Twitter one more time and make sure that I don't have any more notifications from you guys. And it looks like I don't. It is getting pretty late, so we're going to wrap this up. But thank you so much for tuning in to the very first broadcast from my studio. And as JC commented, there are all of our different hashtags, handles on Twitter where you can follow us. So we would love to interact with you guys there. And we will be back tomorrow with more. So thank you guys so much. And I hope you all have a fantastic night wherever you are. Once again, I'm Alyssa Ashe with Right Side Broadcasting Network.